everything is God. This is not Chalil Noach idea.
Right, that's why I don't have one now. I did
God was one creation. Doesn't say anything. The only thing it says, as far as God is concerned, that there is no Avodah Zarah.
The first is the minute Hashem, right?
No, Avodah Zarah. You don't have to. We're not obligated to worship. You made it. As long as you don't worship idols. The effective thing is that, in the sense that it's not their world, and they have to respect that it's not their world, and yes, they have to behave. Always it says that they have to serve God, do anything like that. Well, and then again, what are the uses? Uses are for the uses. Okay. As I recall it, we are the line that begins with Kulhi. It's approximately 10 lines from the top. The line above it begins with Hamitzvos on page 12. Yes? Correct? More or less? Okay. So, we are discussing to a great degree of detail the principle of the effect that the Nefesh Elokis can have upon the Nefesh Abahamis. Again, I just want to alert and to become, so to speak, we should focus and understand what this is about. This is not about obedience. We should obey what it says in Shulchan Aruch. Of course, you should obey what it says in Shulchan Aruch. But that does not refine the Nefesh Abahamis. It simply keeps you out of the pitfalls where the Nefesh Abahamis can take you to. But we are talking about Birur Nefesh Abahamis, refining the Nefesh Abahamis. We're talking about the Nefesh Abahamis becoming sensitive to godliness, so that not only will it not create a pitfall, but it actually will join the Nefesh Elokis. This is the year of Avodah, to bring light, to refine the Nefesh Abahamis. And this is the big question. How is it possible to refine the Nefesh Abahamis? It's a behemoth. It's interested only in its physical, tangible things that it can experience. Huh?
But Shulchan Aruch is like the Shem, no?
Maybe. The point is, what is our aim? What are we trying to accomplish? You understand? There are many different ways that we can accomplish it. So we said that the way that this is accomplished, it's saying the light of the Nefesh Elikis has to actually illuminate and bring warmth to the Nefesh Habamis. The Nefesh Habamis senses the light and the excitement of the Nefesh Elikis. How is that happening? So this happens by the presence of oil, because oil renders a fire into light. And what is the oil? The oil, he says, is number one, Torah. And we explained what is the correlationship, how are they similar. Because Torah, as we said, addresses and touches directly all aspects of the physical world, and therefore it brings the light in a very defined, minute manner, so the Nefesh Habamis can actually relate to it. We discussed it last time. And then the second thing that we said from the Zohar is that the Shemen is the Maisim Tovim, is the mitzvahs, good deeds. And the Rebbe further elaborated that the union of mitzvahs and mitzvahs will serve like as the oil, has the similar reasoning, how the mitzvahs serve as oil in a similar way as Torah serves as oil. Just as Torah attaches itself and deals with every detail, so do mitzvahs. And therefore, this is how mitzvahs bring the fire of the Elikis not in a fiery manner, but in a light manner. Okay, it actually translates the fire into a positive element, into light. Do this, do it this way, and so forth. This is the Maisim Tovim. As a result of these Maisim Tovim, the light of the Nefesh Elikis comes to the Nefesh Habamis in the form of light. It illuminates its path. To give us a very simple, we're going to go into this, as we always do, and try to kind of put it in a simple illustration. There is a din that if somebody says, Truma, for instance, has no limit. Meiser is a tenth of the progress. Truma has no limit. You can give anything. You can give a little bit, you can give a lot. But if a person makes the entire everything that he has Truma, it doesn't become Truma. Does not become Truma. Huh? Whatever the reason why we learn it out, the point is pertinent to what we're discussing here. Okay? This is a clear message to the human being, to the Nefesh Habamis. You should know that there is a reality in life. It's not a question of you're giving everything away. It is dealing with things in a proper way. And that, the Nefesh Habamis, this is what we find in the Nefesh Habamis. Give everything away, that's not productive. That's not productive. And then the Nefesh Habamis, you say, give everything away so you become holy. It doesn't make it holy, it just burns it up. Give a little bit, that makes sense, and I can relate to it. Okay? So this is the shemen of Torah mitzvahs.
Why is it not just about to give everything?
Nefesh Abamis wants to give everything?
Why did he say that?
I explained way back when, when we discussed it, when we started learning the seniors, that mitzad the Gashmius and the worldly perspective of a person would much more easily relate to the extremes. Either he gives nothing or he gives everything. He gives nothing, so he focuses on himself. I'm taking care of myself. He gives everything, I'm being holy. To give a little bit and to retain everything, the rest of myself. So am I holy or am I coarse? Nothing. He's just doing the right thing. That I can relate to. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make me feel good. I want to feel that I accomplished something. I made myself holy. Or I accomplished something. I really built, I accumulated wealth. Not here, not there. This is an interesting phenomenon that people tend towards extremes. And they think that, I'm going to really do it. It's a Saza Yetzer. The Yetzer Hara draws you to the extreme. And the Yetzer Hara draws you to the extremes, and in a manner that makes you feel good. I'm really a somebody. Hold on, how holy. And what's the next step? You fall down to the ground. See that? All right. Okay, so we are starting from the line that starts with the word Hakulhi on page 4. That's about 10 lines from the top. V'zehu inyan, and thus, this is the inyan, this is the principle behind the custom and the requirement of a nisina tzedoko koidem hatfila, of giving tzedoko before davening. Shemoyil, which helps Rikiloyen hapsilo bitfilo, so that the psilo we said is the goof and the nefesh abamis, the physicality, the tangible presence of the person, that this psilo should be consumed in the davening. Because when you give tzedakah, as we said before, on the one hand, you are subduing the nefesh habamis. On the other hand, you're not destroying it. You're just giving it up.
So why is he learning before davening up?
Learning Baitet Maranati, someone, you understand? Because in order to affect the Nefesh Habamis, you have to affect it on all levels. The intellectual, the emotional, and also Machshava Dibur U'Maaseh.
So learning is the emotional
Learning is the intellectual.
And not the Dibur too,
Huh?
Not the Dibur too.
Dibur of learning is not really the level of Dibur. It is really talking the seichel. Dibur means when you speak about, like, do this. That's something which is exclusively, when a poor person comes and you make him feel good, that's a Dibur in such. It's the act of Dibur.
When you do what?
When you help a friend by making him feel good.
Now, So what do we do before davening that informal Hebrew?
We greet each other. When a poor person comes, we say hi.
Yeah, but they're practically speaking for us.
What?
Well, they're practically speaking for us. What are we supposed to do? Kind of like do people people around?
Good morning. How are you? How was last night? That's I mean from talking from Chesed, even amongst yourselves. How do you feel? Oh, you don't look this morning. Not so good. How come? What's the problem? Oh, you looking so good. You look like you really had a good night's sleep. Or it's so nice to be in the yeshiva. It's also divul. All right. So therefore, this is the moyel likiloyin apsilo b'tfilo. The meaning from giving it tzedakah helps so that the psilo would be consumed, would get involved in the davening and be consumed in the davening. So that you can actually consumed in davening means that you can relate to the words of the davening. Therefore, coming back to this thing that we started about the Meir, this is the two inyonim of Shemen and Psila. The Hashemen, where the oil who beginnes Teiro Mitzvahs. This is Teiro Mitzvahs. The Psila, the wick, who HaNefesh Habamis, is the Nefesh Habamis Shenichle, which becomes consumed, the Ha'oyer, the Nefesh Ha'olikis. In the fire of the Nefesh Ha'olikis. What is the fire of the Nefesh Ha'olikis? This we discussed, we learned way back a few pages ago. The fire of the Nefesh Ha'olikis is that the Nefesh Ha'olikis, in its very essence, is in a constant state of rise upwards to guidance. For those, in yesterday's discussion, we talked about in the Neshama, there is a constant life force in the person to become more involved with the life element rather than the worldly element. This is the fire, so to speak, the light of the Nefesh Ha'olikis. To be revisited again in Mitzvah Hashem. Beis Gevanei Ha'oyer, the two colors that fire contains. We mentioned, if you remember, that the fire, there is two fires, two levels of fire. There's a Nehera Uchma and a Nehera Chivra. There's a dark fire. The fire that is close to the wick is dark, and the fire that is further out from the wick is white, is bright. Both are fires. The fire that is close to the wick is the fire that is engaged in consuming and burning up the wick. The fire that is off, higher, distant from the wick, this is the pure fire. This is the fire in its own nature, not as it is consuming the wick. And this will become significant and will become clear and significant in each of them as we go through this. So, based the two colors of the fire, of the light, the Hein, Beis, Bechinas, Ahava. They are the two aspects of Ahava. Of Ahava that the Nefesh of the Kis has. There is Nehoira Uchma. Nehoira Uchma means the dark fire, light. Ho Bechinas Ho Ahavo, that is that element of Ahavo, Shabo Alidei HaHizboinanus, which comes as a result of his boinus. Again, we will discuss it after we have a complete message over here. The Abba that comes as a result of his boinus. His boinus means when a person reflects, pays attention, focuses in, and thinks in terms of what reality he is experiencing. Vehu ha'oir ha'korev al-psilo. And thus, this is the oir, the light, that is close to the psilo, to the wick. V'nech hasbo, and it grabs onto the psilo, l'chaloisa, to actually consume it and to burn it up. Canal, as we mentioned, have we already discussed before. Nehoira Uchma, the dark fire. In essence, it means that this is a fire that wants to destroy and consume every opposition to godliness. Wants to destroy the tendency and the desire of the Nefesh Abamis to be involved in the world, to go to be more drawn into the world, and this Nehoira Uchma fights it off and does not allow the Nefesh Abamis to go there and to become more deeply involved in worldly experiences. And here I'd like to stop for a moment and reflect on this so that we can understand the full impact of what we're going to learn. To abstain from doing the wrong thing, like do not steal. Do not steal in our day is a law of the land. If you steal and the police catch you, you're going to be thrown into jail. This Indian that you will be thrown into jail and this is why you don't steal. This is not the fire of the Nefesh Elokis. It's not a fire coming from light. On the contrary, it's not even a fire. It's a gross thing. You're protecting yourself so you shouldn't get caught. There is no significance to this. There's no light associated with this correct action. Oh, I'm not going to steal. There's no light with it. Doesn't bring light with it. You understand? It's just, you're afraid to be punished. In the effect of the Nefesh Elikis upon the Nefesh Abanis, for the Nefesh Abanis has a tendency, or he's enticed, he sees, oh, this is good money, why don't I get it? And then the Nefesh Elikis says, no, don't do that. Don't do it. So it fights off this tendency. But the reason it fights off this tendency is not because it doesn't want to get caught, doesn't want to fall, but because it wants to stay in the light, to stay in the bright side. It wants to stay. It doesn't want to go into the darkness. It wants to stay in the light. The Nefesh Elikis, and the Nefesh Elikis brings this light to the Nefesh Elikis. This is called Nehera Uchma, the dark light, the light that deals with the darkness. But you would think if it deals with the darkness, it's not light, it's just fire. No. It deals with the darkness, but the reason it deals with the darkness, it doesn't let you go into the darkness, is because of light, because you sense the good of being in the light. Not just the bad of being in the dark, where you're going to get caught and thrown in jail. You understand? But the good of being in the light, of not stealing, of not going in the wrong direction.
That's when you're having the equal.
Hmm?
The light and the dark.
I'm sorry?
That's when you're having the equal. That's when you're having it equally. When you have the dark, but you also have the light with it.
No, that's not. I don't remember equally. I'm explaining the following. If there's a fire that consumes the wick, that's plain fire. It's heat. It's fire. Why do we call it light? It's not light. It's fire. Light is that which is above it. I gives off light, but the fire itself that consumes the wick, this is fire. And yet we call it ur. We call it Nehera Uchma. It's subdued light, but it's light. How is it light? It's fire. So I'm explaining that behind this fire there is the element of light. In other words, the reason it consumes it, doesn't let you go there, is not because of the dark, but because of the light. Because it wants you to stay in the light. So this is why this is called Nehera Uchma. It's light, but it's a dark type of light. A light that can relate and fight off the darkness of the wick, of the Nefesh Abanis. And this is called Beis Mini Ahava, two types of Ahava. We're going to go into the two types, but this is also Ahava. The fact that you consuming the coarseness of the Nefesh Abanis is also Mitzad Ahava. Because you want to be, you don't want to lose your contact with Hashem, that's why you're consuming the Nefesh Abanis. So there's a positive element in this. But it's not as bright as pure light, but nevertheless it has an element of light.
So what's the connection between the measures that have to do with the spoilers?
Yeah, we'll come back to this. We'll come back to this. We'll come back to I said I want to put together the whole thing, then we'll have the whole thing. So he says like this. It comes as there is ones, And this is the light that is close to the psila, and this is called Nehera Uchma. Okay, this is actually a time to talk about his bonus. What is his bonus? His bonus essentially is a seicheldike process. It's an intellectual process. What is the seicheldike process? What is the seicheldike process? Like we're saying here, that this is the fire that deals with the wick. What does that mean? I see a world. I see a physical world. And the physical world, at first glance, completely conceals any spirituality. Like I said before, you see a wallet of money. The money is physical. And from the physicality perspective, it makes no difference whether it's yours legitimately or you steal it from somebody else. Makes no difference. This is how the physical element of the world completely conceals any sense of value, of truth, of goodness. Totally makes no difference. What's the difference? Can you tell the difference in this dollar and this dollar? You can't tell the difference. But then, with your seichel, with your hisbonenus, you can realize there's a big, big difference between, in a simple sense, money that you earned honestly, honorably, and money that you did not earn. It makes a big difference. Where does it make a difference? In the seichel of a person. When does it make a difference? Only if you're misboining. If you begin to take it apart and say, okay, what does it mean I have money? If I got the money by hurting somebody else, not because I earned it, it's not real. It's all darkness. It lacks the real light of life. Let me explain what I mean by this. This probably a while ago, I mentioned to you, the Gemara says, remember that? That a person prefers one measure of his own to 9 measures from his friend. What is the pshat? It means like this. A person works on his field. He works on his field, he tills the field, he plows it, he seeds it, and then Hashem's helps and it grows. This is so dear to him. This thing that grew from his own labor, from his own field, is so dear to him that 9 times as much as this, it doesn't compare. He would rather have this than 9 times as much. What does this mean? It doesn't make any sense. What does he need this produce for? To eat. So he gives 9 times as much, he has 9 times as much to eat. How can you say that this little bit is worth to him more than 9 times as much that he would get from somewhere, from elsewhere? And yet, the Gemara says that, and we can, so to speak, relate to it. What is the sense that we have about it? What's so significant about this that grew in your own field? A person needs to eat. Can't survive without eating. He needs to eat in order to live. Now, what is to live means to the person? If a person would feel that he is here in this world, he's alive, but really the world doesn't want him. Doesn't want him. He doesn't belong here. He has to fight to be here. Is that called life? Life means that he is welcome here. Right? He belongs here. That which a person grew in his own field, this is a gift from the Mavis. This is not something that I created myself. This is a gift from the Mavis. Yes, you planted the field, but ultimately it's a gift from the Mavis directly for your sustenance. This which you got elsewhere, even if you bought it in the store, so you got it from the world, not from Mavis. This which you got from Mavis, this gives you a much richer sense of what your life is about, of the real thing. This is the Hisbonenus element. The person is Mizboin. Says, okay, I can take this, and then I'm going to have it. I'm going to steal this money, so I'm going to have it. But what are you going to have? You're going to have something from the world, not something real that really gives you the right to live. So you're living, so to speak, in the basement, in the underworld, in the darkness. That's not real. That's for the rags, not for the human being. You understand what I'm saying?
The person, if she's not welcome in the world, she's not nice.
You don't get that? Okay. I want to discuss this. I want to get this behind us. This is not a new topic here, because we discussed it in different ways. The Gemara says that Odom she'ein lo bayis ein lo Odom. A person does not have a home, is not a person. That's what the Gemara says. And what is a bayis? A bayis is essentially a place where he lives. His place. Now I'd like you to think about the final question, okay? A person comes home, this is his home. Nobody can come in here, nobody can come in and throw him out, this is his home. Lahavdil, by animals, there's also something like that. The lions live in certain packs, in certain groups, certain areas. And these areas are reserved for them to hunt in. And no other animal, not even another lion from a different group, is permitted to enter this area. And if an animal from a different group, doesn't belong to this group, ventures in there, they're going to tear him apart. They're going to attack him and tear him apart. This is called the lion's turf. You know what turf means? This is his area. You can't intrude there. Okay? Now, I'd like you to think in terms of the following questions. The lion's turf and the human being's home, is it the same concept? It's different. Now I'd like you to explain to me, what do you sense is the difference? It's pretty hard to explain, right? But you sense a difference. What is the difference? The difference is like this. The lion's turf is not owned by the lion. It's not that the land declares belongs to this lion. It doesn't. The lion, with his muscle, with his power, protects it, doesn't let you go in there. Nobody agrees with the lion that this belongs to him. Nobody has to. The lion doesn't ask for permission. He says, this is mine. You called it, I'll come and tear it apart. A human being is different. His home, this is really his home.
If someone gets loans from people to get the money to take the house. I say if someone borrows money.
Makes no difference. He borrows money, so he's obligated to pay back the money. But this home, that he lives in, that's the idea of a home. A home is a shot that this is his on the fundamental level. It's his on the fundamental. That's a home. That's the human being. A human being, when you say that he has a place in the world, he has a place in the world not because he fought for it, but because God gave it to him. God gave every human being the right to be in this world, and he gave him a place to be, and that is what defines a human being. He has a place.
And it doesn't give a place for animals to live?
I'm sorry? No. Animals don't have a place that they call their own. They roam around wherever they fight for their rights, so to speak, on a constant basis. There isn't ownership. There is no such thing as ownership by animals.
So it's not permanent?
No, it's not owned. Not even permanent, even for the moment. Even for the moment. It's not, it's not owned, it's just that he grabs it. A wolf catches a sheep. Okay? He catches a sheep, and he caught the sheep, and he killed it, and now he's standing there and eating it. Now a bear comes and sees the wolf eating the sheep. What do you think is going to happen?
He's got a nice supper.
What?
He's got a nice supper.
Right? The wolf is going to jump away. And there's not going to be a question of right and wrong. It's no question. You got it, now I got it from you. And it's not an injustice or anything like that. That's the animal world. Because the wolf would do the same thing to a dog. There's no difference. Or to a cat, I say. A human being is different. Human beings have real ownership. And if you take over somebody's home, then you're a criminal. And you owe, your crime is not only against other human beings, it's against God. Lo yisignoi. God says no yisignoi. It's not just because human beings agreed upon this.
It's also against God or it's only against God?
Primarily against God.
If it wasn't for God's law, then it was...
What?
If it wasn't for God's law, what's the problem?
I know what you're saying.
It's really, I would think that it's only against God, not that it's also or primarily against God.
No, because human beings can agree upon what are the laws of the land over here. It's not against God. The laws of the land is because people agree that they should have certain rules. But by us, we look at it differently. And then right signal is a godly command. Okay? So this is the difference. This is the human being. You understand? The human being, what gives him a sense that he is a full-fledged human being is that he has something directly from Hashem. And he has it because he fought off another human being. That's not real. That's not real. And this is the hispoinus. He's mispoining in the world, and he recognizes that this world that he's mispoining, yes, it's physical and all that, but actually there is this godly element in it, where the human being becomes real. That's something which is much, and then he recognizes the godly presence in his own life. And then there is the Ahava of Nashul Kis to Tzurmeiros. But this Ahava is called Nahoir Uchmo, because you're dealing with the world, and you have to explain to yourself, yes, it is the world, but it's not just what you grab, but what the Rebbe gave you. So there's light in it. It's not just that you grab it by force of fire, you consume, you burn it up like an animal, but you are actually coming with light. You with me? This is why this is called, this comes to his bonus, and this is the Oyer HaKorev HaPsila. This is the fire, the light. Not just fire, the light that's closer to the wick. Because the point over here is not the fire, that it consumes and grabs like to handle an animal. No, it's light. It's meaningful. That's the way it should be. And this is the light that Nechaz grabs onto the fire. You see, I went back to the previous slides on our line, so I'll see the words inside. The light actually relates and attaches itself to the psila, to the gashmius, l'chaloisa, to consume it, and to say, no, it's not gashmius, it's really godliness, it's really ruchnius. And if we would go down, see there is a little star, we go down, the single star on the bottom of the page, so he says over there in parentheses, Ba'etzem hakiloyen hapsilo, the very consumption, burning out of this wick, what happens to the wick itself? What does it mean it gets consumed? Does not become nil, burnt up. It becomes consumed by this light. What is it? What is the effect of this light on the tefillah? Hu b'chinas yirat. This is what's called yirat, the lower level of yira, of fear of Hashem. The fire that comes from Nefesh Elokis is a light. Right? It's in the Hoira Uchmo, it's a light that illuminates that psila. Then the psila gets consumed, burnt up. What happens to it? Not that it gets destroyed, but it becomes, this is from Yira Tator, this is the lower level of Yira. What is the Yira Shalom? Limroid, he has the sense that he cannot rebel, act against the Melech Malchei Amlochim HaKodesh Baruch. He cannot be moired in Melech Malchei HaKodesh Baruch in Hashem. V'lo lamrois ein ekveidim. He cannot despite, so to speak, neglect any kind of his right in front of the Meibashter, I cannot do anything. This is called Yirat HaTorah. Why am I supposed to be saving Shalbenim? Paying down. This is from Tanya. This is the consumption of the Pshila. In other words, there are two things. There is the light of the Nefesh Olekis that relates to the Pshila, relates to the Gashmis. This is the, like we said before, to the Hizbonyanus. This is the Nehoira Uchma, the dark light that actually relates to the Gashmis and explains how the Gashmis really comes from the Meibashter. This is the Abba for Nefesh Olekis. Then, when that actually has the effect on the Pshila, on the Nefesh Abamis, this is when the Nefesh Abamis becomes consumed. And what is it consumed? It's in Yira. This is Poshet Yirat HaTorah. That it does not have the chutzpah to stand up and do an aveiling in the godly presence. This is called Yirat HaTorah, the lower level of Yira. We recognize that the godly presence in the world. The Nefesh Elokis brings him to be aware of the godly presence in the world, and then he does have the chutzpah to go and do his own thing. Lamris Einik Rele. To be spiteful in his face, to do that which is contrary to his will. So this is the principle, the first step, the Nehoira Uchma, first step in Avodah. The principle that we've discussed here and now, the human element in contrast to the animal element, which is a very important principle. It's the basic step towards recognizing what a human being is and to live like a human being. We can call it Seichel Anushi. We can call it common human sense. We always give this simple example. You stand on a subway platform, and the train arrives, and the doors open. And there's a throng of people coming out from the doors. And you have to get inside the car. And you see that there's a lot of people who want to go into the car. And there's just this number of seats. And you want to get the seat. So you go straight out, boom, and clash with the people coming out of the thing. You have to grab that seat. So let's say you grab that seat. You grab that seat by clashing and all that and pushing around. What does it mean to you? What does it mean to you? Do you have a human feeling, oh, I have a seat? Nothing. You just grabbed it like a lion grabs his prey. Out of self-respect, out of respect for your human stature, where you sense, no, I'm in the world because Hashem gives me a place in the world, not because I grabbed for it. You would rather not have that seat and not forfeit. What forfeit means? Give up your human self-respect. You wait the people to come out, let all the guys who want to fight head on, get them. You'll come in and you'll have a place to stand. You'll get to your destination. This is a small example of this sentence we're saying. His boinus. What world am I living in? Who prepared the world? Why am I here? What does it mean to me? That brings low-level light into a person's life. And it has an effect on his behavior. He says, hold your horses. You didn't go to the subway because you wanted to have a seat. You went to the subway because you want to get something. You'll get there. With or without the seat, you'll get there. Right? That's right.
Like a home guy.
I'm sorry?
Like a home guy, he lives on the train.
Yeah, no, that's right, yeah. So he grabs a seat at night when nobody's there and he stays there. Time is late, but we got into this. I want to give you a very a phenomenal element of our life, of how the Rebbe created the world for us. In order to live, we have to breathe. We have to eat, but eating is sporadic. Right? You eat in the morning, you eat in the evening, but breathing is a constant. Okay. And it seems to us that we are actually acting to breathe, right? We have to breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. So that means that we actually have to kind of pump ourselves to live. It's something that we have to work for in order to live. The real truth, however, is that that's not how we get breath into our lungs. What happens is there is a huge what's called atmosphere. It goes all the way up to 500 miles of air. And this mass of air creates air pressure. And then when we have a vacuum and you breathe out, there's a vacuum in our lungs, and the air automatically flows into our lungs. We don't work to get the air in. It flows automatically. What difference does it make?
No, so that's interesting, Sadik.
That's how, this is the experience of life. Life is when the Rebbe gives it to you. You have to fight for it, grab it. It's not an experience of life.
Here in this room,
there is atmosphere pressure everywhere. If there would be no atmospheric pressure here, then the walls would collapse. There's equal pressure.
not just pushing down.
Huh?
Not just pushing down.
No, it's from everywhere. Yeah, it's pressure from everywhere. Okay, this is. Okay. Before davening? No. Davening is where the light of the Nefesh HaBahalakis affects the Nefesh HaBahalakis. In order that this light of the Nefesh HaBahalakis should affect the Nefesh HaBahalakis, it's not enough to bring the fire of the Nefesh HaBahalakis. You have to have oil. As we discussed, fire without oil just consumes. The oil in Avodah is the Torah and mitzvah that a person does before davening. No, Pshila is the Nefesh HaBahalakis, is the good. The oil, the fire comes from Nefesh HaBahalakis. And the oil comes from doing mitzvahs and from learning Torah. There are three things, right? The fire, the psila, the wick, and the oil.